So this is one of the wildest and most disturbing true crime stories I've ever come across. It's about a young woman named Lacey Spears. Now, with Lacey, on the outside, she looked like this sweet, struggling single mom. You know, the one that's always posting online about her sick little boy, asking for prayers, sharing updates from the hospital. And of course, her story touches many people's heart, and soon, many people were sending her love, donations, calling her brave, and a warrior for her son. But behind that, she was killing her son slowly with salt. Yeah, salt. Real table salt. And you know what the worst part about this is? She did it for attention. So Lacey was this 26-year-old woman from Alabama. She had a son named Garnett. Cute kid, round big cheeks, big smile. The kind of kid you see and think, "Aw, poor baby." Especially with how often he was in the hospital. But now Lucy had this blog called Garnett's Journey. And bro, she was always posting. Like everything she did had to be known. For example, pray for us. Back in the hospital again. Garnett's fighting hard today. Another seizure. I'm scared. People loved her for it. She had a little online community. Moms related to her. Others saw her as a hero. But every time Garnett got better, somehow he would get worse again. Now, let's fast forward to 2014. They moved, they're living in New York now. However, Garnett, he ended up in the ICU again. His sodium levels through the fucking roof. Like, doctors were stunned. They were shocked. Doctors was like, hold up. This is not normal. Like, this kid's salt levels are high. Like, it's basically fatal. He has a lethal level of sodium in his body. And nobody, not the mother, knows how. Like, put it in perspective. Your sodium level should be around 135 to 145. Garnett's was 182. That is coma territory. That is lethal. Now, doctors were confused. They were shocked and confused. Like, this kind of thing doesn't just happen. So the doctors started to get suspicious. They started watching more closely. And guess what they find? They found security footage of Lacey taking Garnett into the hospital bathroom with his feeding tube. And a few minutes later, he comes out, he's vomiting. Then he crashes. Then coma. And then, unfortunately, he passed away. Garnett was only 5 years old. Now, here's where it gets dark. This is where the story gets psychologically dark. Lacey had this condition called Munchausen by Proxy, technically now called factitious disorder imposed on another. Basically, she wanted her son to be sick. Like, she needed that. Because being the mom of a sick kid made her feel special. It's very messed up, but people like that crave sympathy, attention, and validation. Like the likes, the comments, the "you're so strong, you're a hero, you're the best mom." Like the blog, that wasn't for Garnett. That was her stage. And you know what made it worse? She would intentionally poison him with salt through his feeding tube, then rush to the hospital and act devastated like she didn't know what was wrong. And when the doctor started asking questions, she moved states. She changed hospitals. She always stayed one step ahead until Garnett unfortunately passed away. After Garnett's pass, the police investigated Lacey hard. Like, they looked through her browsing history, saw that she had searched, had to increase sodium in the body, had to poison through a feeding tube. They interviewed people around her. Some friends had weird experiences, like Lacey asking them to help with feeding tube stuff, even though she refuses medical training from professionals who are good at their job. She did not ask for real professional help. And in 2015, she was charged and convicted of second-degree murder and a first-degree manslaughter. She was sentenced to 20 years to life. Should have added an extra life to that. Now, in court, she was trying to say, oh, it was an accident. She didn't know what she was doing. But the jury didn't buy it. And neither did anybody else. And bro, when the public found out the real story, people were pissed. People were angry at her. Not just because of the little boy passing, but this wasn't just murder. It was manipulation. Lacey had made herself look like a hero while her son was the one suffering. She used motherhood like a costume. And when it stopped getting her attention, she ended the story permanently. Think about this. She built a whole identity around saving her son, but she was the one hurting him all alone. Like the blog, the hospital selfies, the prayer requests, all of it was just a long performance. And for what? A few likes? Some pity? An identity? For what? But behind that, behind the feeding tubes, the blog posts, behind the sympathy and smiles, was a woman who needed to be a victim so bad, she created one. And when her son started to grow up, when he got old enough to talk, to ask questions, to live a life outside of her story, she made sure he would never tell his story. I'm saying, Lacey didn't just murder her son. She used them. Every hospital visit, every prayer, every update, it was her way of staying center stage. When the spotlight started to fade, she made sure the ending be dramatic enough to get it back.